So it has to be said, John Bolton is a traitor to the interests of the United States. I believe John Bolton's absolutely stunning claims in his book about Donald Trump. I believe John Bolton is telling the truth as he sees it, and that the stories he tells in the book are mostly accurate. I believe Trump okayed Uyghur concentration camps in China. I believe Trump said invading Venezuela is cool. I believe Trump asked China for help getting reelected. I believe Trump said reporters should be imprisoned or executed. I believe Trump didn't know that the UK had nuclear weapons. Why do I believe it? Because it passes the sniff test and it correlates. It seems to be corroborated by 3.5 years of similar claims about Donald Trump by people who have been around him. But John Bolton is a traitor. Why is John Bolton a traitor? Because he waited 7 months to make these claims in public. Now, you're going to see criticisms of Bolton and of people on the left who essentially believe Bolton is in broad strokes telling the truth here. You're starting to see some people on the left say, you idiot leftists, you fell for the fake Russia story. You fell for the fake Ukraine story. You fell for impeachment, which was never going to remove Donald Trump, which we said, by the way. And now you're falling for the same type of nonsense from a horrible guy who is a terrible neocon and led us into war with Iraq and blah, 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 blah. No. That's not the case. John Bolton does not get a pass here. But just because someone's a terrible person doesn't mean everything they're saying is untrue. These allegations that John Bolton is making are so serious that it is an inexcusable miscarriage of morality for him to have waited 7 months before going public. Now, I get it. Bolton has a book to sell. You monetize what you know, and it made sense financially for him to wait. Number two, the book was being vetted. So conceivably, if Bolton just goes public with all of this stuff in December, when the manuscript was turned over to the National Security Council, and it hasn't yet been vetted, maybe there's a legal issue or whatever the case may be. But John Bolton wants us to believe that he's doing this because it's for the good of the country to know what Donald Trump has been up to behind the scenes. Well, I agree, but if his concerns are the good of the country, we should have known about it 7 months ago or 8 or 9 months ago, or, a lot of this stuff happened even earlier. And John Bolton could have talked about it at the time. I cannot forgive John Bolton for that. If 5% of what Bolton claims in the book is true, there would have been multiple cases for impeaching Donald Trump. Now, with a Republican-controlled Senate, Trump still wouldn't have been convicted and removed on impeachment, but John Bolton has criticized Democrats for not going after Trump more strongly on more issues on impeachment. Well, he could have told us what some of those issues were. He refused to testify before the House Impeachment Committee unless he was subpoenaed, which is not uncommon. But again, if Bolton is the patriot who's telling us this because the country deserves to know, he could have figured out a way to tell us this 7, 8, 9 months ago. Aside from testifying at any point in time, John Bolton could have said, you know what? This is so serious. This is so important that I am going to take a personal legal risk and I'm going to do interviews and I'm going to talk about what I saw. He still could have written a book. People still would have bought the book 7 months later, but he could have given us 7 months of a head start, and many things could have gone differently in the last 7 months. Bolton writes in his book that when he saw Trump ask China for help getting reelected, he believed it was a threat to American interests, and he said nothing. He was national security advisor. His concern is national security, and he said nothing about something that he believed to be a threat to U.S. interests. Bolton, the patriot, sees a threat, is in charge of national security, and waits to publish a book in order to go public. That is not patriotic. That is not patriotic. So Bolton going public on all this stuff, as Eli Honig wrote in an op-ed for CNN, Bolton could have changed the course of history had he gone public 7 months ago with this stuff. So do I believe Bolton is making this stuff up? I don't. I believe Bolton is telling the truth as he sees it, and that the book is mostly accurate. Maybe there are some details that are not, because all of the claims line up with what we've known about Donald Trump for 3.5 years. None of these claims seem outlandish in the context of what we know about Donald Trump. But in the same way that John Bolton betrayed the country in 2003 by pushing the Iraq War, Bolton betrayed the United States by waiting 7 months to make these claims public. These are things that he knew would have been worthy of impeachment. And he waited for the opportunity to make money by selling books. Now, let's get back to what I know many of you are going to say. Why does it matter about impeachment, impeachable claims, if a Republican Senate would not have removed Trump either way? That is true, but it would have been much worse for the Senate to acquit Trump in light of 5 impeachable offenses, most of them even crazier than the Ukraine story, than to acquit Trump only on the Ukraine story. Trump directly asked China for support getting reelected. He told China concentration camps are the right thing to do. Trump obstructed investigations into Turkish individuals and businesses as a favor to Erdogan. Seeing Republicans acquit Trump in light of 5 solid impeachment cases might have been a difference maker in some of the upcoming reelection campaigns of senators in November. That's one example that would be a material difference. There is no way that Bolton going public earlier helps Trump, and it might have hurt Trump, and it might have hurt Republicans hugely. So Bolton was and still is an outrageous war hawk who wants to see American military personnel in more places around the world for corporate profits or neoconservative political goals. John Bolton probably is at least partially motivated by a bruised ego related to how everything went down with Donald Trump. But John Bolton is not going to just make up everything that he said in the book. And yet he is still a traitor. The right thing to do, if it's out of love of country, would have been for him to make these claims publicly 7 months ago. He cannot be forgiven for that, but that doesn't mean what he's saying in the book is untrue. And a lot of these lame hot takes from some supposed leftists completely ignore that Bolton can be a bad guy and the claims can still be true. Trump can have done the things Bolton alleges, and yet it could still have been wrong for Bolton to make the case to go into Iraq, which it was wrong. And I hope that we don't see much of the left go down this very wrong-headed rabbit hole. Let's take a quick break. We will talk about the economy coming up. We will talk about coronavirus, a lot more news in the last 24 hours than merely John Bolton. If you love feeding your intellectual curiosity, but you're always struggling to find the time, check out one of my all-time favorite apps called Blinkist. Blinkist lets you consume an entire book on your way home from work. They take thousands of popular nonfiction books, condense each one into text or audio that you can get through in just 15 minutes, and you get all of the important core ideas and information from that book. It's perfect if you don't have enough time to do all the reading you want to do, or if you just want to sample a book before you buy the entire thing. I recently read A Brief History of Time, of course, by the great Stephen Hawking. This is a book that I have been aware of for so long, and other things got in the way, and it was fantastic to check it out on Blinkist. Blinkist has books on politics, philosophy, science. They have 27 different nonfiction categories, and a subscription is only about $8 a month, and you get the entire library. But you can try it totally free and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video.